Horror doesn't come from nowhere. Some of the most unsettling films we watch in the dark are rooted in something real: a crime, a disappearance, a moment that was too strange to ignore. Art imitates life, and in horror, it does so often with disturbing precision. And maybe that's why these movies hit harder than pure fiction. Because somewhere beneath the jump scares and soundtracks, there is a reminder that the most frightening stories are the ones that already happened. Welcome to Morbid Outdoors, the podcast that ventures deep into the shadows of the wild. Here, we unravel the mysteries of missing persons, explore spine-chilling legends, and share the most morbid stories that nature has to offer. From the depths of the dense forests to the highest mountain peaks, we'll uncover the secrets that lie hidden in the great outdoors. Join us as we navigate the eerie, the unexplained, and the terrifying. So if you dare, grab your gear and let's embark on a journey into the unknown. This is Morbid Outdoors. Hello, everyone. I am so glad that you're joining in today because I have a very special episode. My name is Elise and I'm your host. And today I actually am releasing like an interview slash conversation that I had with two really fun people. Their names are Ryan and Chris, and they host Roasted Snow Horror Show. And they are all about horror movies. And if you know me and you listen to the show, you know that I also love horror genre galore. Movies, books, that's pretty much all I consume, and I love it. So, I could talk about horror movies all day, and I got together with the pros, and this is what they know. So, we got to get together to discuss outdoor horror films, and we went on a lot of tangents. Ryan and Chris are so fun, and their podcast is so entertaining. I'm really loving it. I had so much fun doing this. It was really fun. Ryan and Chris know their stuff, and I hope that you like it as much as I did. So here we go. Awesome. Well, today I have Ryan and Chris from Roasted Snow Horror Show, and I'm so happy to have them here on the podcast. And we are going to discuss horror movies. So, if you know anything about me, you know I love horror, and it's something I frequently talk about or reference in my show. So, Ryan, what is your favorite horror movie of all time? Like your absolute top favorite?
Well, it changes daily, it seems, but the one I typically go back to is the OG Scream, the
Mm.
original with Drew Barrymore. That one's a classic. It was the first movie I watched when I wasn't supposed to when I was a kid, so it has stuck with me. I'm a big Scream guy.
Yeah, I love Scream too. What about you, Chris?
Man, similar to Ryan, it kind of oscillates back and forth between two big ones. But for me, it's more of a recent offering, and I think my favorite horror film is 2012's Sinister. We did an
Mm.
episode on this a while back, but I think Sinister hits all the right beats. It's kind of a low budget horror film with a fantastic story, fantastic writing, and the elements of it that make it scary are done so well that it's ageless, it's timeless, it still creeps me out to this day.
Yeah, I love both of those actually. I watch, that's pretty much all I watch is horror. I'm sure you guys can really obviously. Your whole podcast is about horror movie reviews and dissecting, and I love it. And I was actually listening to an episode you guys did on VHS, the anthology, and I was cracking up so hard because you guys were talking about how kids these days don't know what a VHS is. And I work in a public school, and I literally made a reference to like, oh, it's on VHS. And one of my students was like, what's that? And I was like, oh no. I'm like, you put it in a VCR player. They had never heard of a VHS. So I had to laugh. And it's like, I don't know. It's so sad that some of these horror movie elements and references are gonna be lost in like the younger generations when they're like so good.
100%,
Um,
100%.
yeah, my favorite horror movie, I think, I don't even know if it counts as horror, is Creep. I don't know if you guys have seen that one. I
Oh
love
yeah.
it.
That 1,000% counts as horror.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I love
Absolutely.
it. I found it one time. actually in Washington camping in a cabin. It's not really camping. But the weather was so bad, there was nothing really to do. And I just was scrolling through Netflix and I was like, I'm gonna watch this. And it blew my mind. I loved it so much. And we're getting a third one. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it's three is happening soon.
Oh, geez.
And
Have you been watching the Creep tapes?
I haven't
yeah, the
yet.
series on Shut. Oh, it's
Are they
so
worth
good.
are they worth watching?
Absolutely,
Okay.
They're
absolutely. Yeah.
they're 20-minute-ish episodes. So it's a little different than the movies because you have time in the movies to
Mm-hmm.
kind of develop the characters and this and that. This throws you right into it. It's a new person each episode. The episodes are even titled like this is Amber, this is Joe, so definitely worth a watch. The second season has definitely taken it up a notch.
Mm.
I think we might be getting the last one this week. So in the near future, we're going to do a whole episode on creep. So
Oh,
I
yay. Yeah,
love
I
that you
can't wait
said
to
that one.
listen. Yeah, I
I
love
Yeah,
can't believe you
creep.
watched.
Mark Duplass is really hitting his stride as we get into the second season, and
Okay.
like Ryan said, I mean, it's a whole nother level. It's amazing.
I can't believe you watched that in a cabin because that cabin freaked me out in the movie. Did you find a beach
Particularly
bug
the first
mattress?
episode of season one too happens to take place at a
Oh,
cabin. So if
really?
you're looking to get scared, jump right in.
Yeah, I like I said, it's basically all I watch, and I mean, I think it's a cinematic masterpiece. I love creep. I'm like found footage, kind of, and it just gets creepier and creepier and the more bizarre. And I made a few years later, I made my mom watch it. She does not watch horror at all, and she was like, "What the hell am I watching?" I'm like, "It's good, right?" Like, no one else gets it, but it's
What have you
good.
done to me?
It's not gory, it's not anything like that, but it is, I mean, as the title suggests, it is very creepy, it's very unsettling. And I mean, Chris and I, we would watch the League, and that's what he's in. So it was
Mark
really,
Duplass. Yep.
really weird to take him into like that kind of role, but he plays it so well. So I love that you said that. I'm gonna get off on a tangent here. I could talk now.
Well, speaking of like found footage, we are here today to discuss some outdoors horror themed, and I think we're gonna talk about Blair Witch, right?
Oh, I love it so much.
Hmm.
I love obviously the original Blair Witch that I dare say kicked off the found footage obsession that at least that Ryan and I have. There's certainly precursors. We did an episode recently where we talked about Cannibal Holocaust, which is kind of the OG found footage. We won't get too far into that because we'll need a shower after we talk
Yeah.
about that one. But yeah, the OG Blair Witch back in '97. The Redux they did, I think it was 2015 or 2016, was also fantastic. But yeah, the found footage genre, particularly with those two films, just holds up so well. It does scary elements so well. I love it.
Well, and it scares you because the woods are inherently scary. And the
Yeah.
fact that this is the first time where you feel like you are, you have no control and you are following these guys. You're in their POV. You have no idea what's going to be lurking around each corner. And this movie doesn't ever show anything. You don't see the witch. You don't
Hmm.
see anything. Initially, you were supposed to, but the camera did not catch the whatever they had somebody dressed as a witch or something. And that was probably the best mistake that could ever have happened because what you can think about in your mind is scarier than anything that they could put on screen.
It is definitely way scarier. And one thing, so I go hiking and backpacking by myself. Like I sleep in a tent out in the backcountry alone. And so a common thing I get is like, you do that alone? Like, my friends and family and coworkers, you do that alone? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm not really scared of anything outdoors. It's the people like that I would be scared of. And I think a lot of the outdoor horror genre like kind of really does a good job of pinpointing that. Like, oh, it's the people that you should be scared of outside, right?
Mhm.
Definitely,
It's a
definitely.
cliche because it works.
Yeah, the people are always scarier than what you can, than what's not out there. I guess you could say, right?
Yeah.
There's
So,
also there's another one. It's kind of in the vein of the Blair Witch Project, and Chris and I talked about this on a previous episode recently. Chris had never seen it, but it's called Horror in the High Desert, and takes place in Nevada, and it's framed as a mockumentary about this missing hiker, and I
uh,
think he has his own YouTube channel or podcast, so he's talking about this cabin that he ran into, and his viewers don't believe it, so he decides to go back there and obviously if I'm talking about it, it goes horribly wrong. So that's another one you should maybe check out if you're into like the creep and the Blair Witch, and
yeah. Do
that
you
one's
know
really
what
cool.
year that one came out? Horror in the High Desert, just off the top of your head?
It was probably 2019, 2020, something
Okay,
like that.
so actually, I think that was based on a true story of Kenny Veach, who went missing in Nevada after he found a cave, and he has not been found since. And he did have a YouTube. So I think possibly that's like I think Kenny's story inspired probably that. But now I'm gonna put it on my watch list for sure.
Uh,
I'd never heard
a
of that
chill
one.
just went down my spine.
Yeah, you're gonna send me down a Wikipedia rabbit hole here when here tonight before I go to bed.
Yeah, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that there was possibly a movie based off of that case, but that's
Well,
interesting.
it spawned three sequels, so there's four in total.
Oh.
Yeah, there's the second and third ones are okay. The first and fourth ones are great. So definitely give it a chance. I think it's like a 70-minute movie. It's not long at all.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that one out.
Awesome.
So in terms of Blair Witch, what do you guys want to discuss about? It's been a while since I've seen it, so I'm not the best. I should have probably watched it before we did this, but
Well, I think
it's busy.
I think Ryan, you kind of hit the nail on the head where it's like some of the most, and this goes to why I think found footage is so effective as a format. I think what you don't see and what you know is happening just beyond the reach of the camera, right? And though you can't see it, you're almost experiencing the same emotions that those that are in the film and carrying the camera and shooting the things are experiencing. And I think that is such an effective framing device, especially when you're doing like low budget horror, because it leaves the imagination up to the watcher, right? The audience gets to make up in their mind, like, oh, I'm hearing these sounds. Here's what this creature probably looks like. And I think people inherently kind of project the things that are the most scary to them onto the things they can't see. So that horror becomes unique for each different watcher. And I think that's extremely effective. I love that.
And when you put it in the setting of the deep woods where they're lost, and I mean, I'm sure you've had this camping by yourself. I'm sure you've been, trying to get to sleep and you hear a branch snap outside, and
Hmm.
and in this movie, like the rocks move around into these weird formations when they wake up, and it just everybody can associate themselves with that, whether they're into hiking, whether they're into camping, whether they're not. Um, there's two things I'm afraid of, and it's cornfields and the deep woods. Because I don't want to get trapped out there. And, the limited camping that I have done, that's where my mind goes. I'm like, this is the start of a horror movie. And I got to know where I can go and what I can do. So, and the marketing behind Blair Witch, what was so effective is you did not know if it was real or not.
Hmm.
They were unknown actors. They're like, hey, we literally found this found footage. We are going to watch it. You are going to go along this journey with them. If you have any information on their whereabouts, please let us know.
Yeah, because
And
I don't think those actors did any official press for that film because that was part of the gimmick. Is like we don't know where they are, we don't know who they, all of that, all of those pieces,
yeah,
like a fourth wall break.
yeah, and I think the main girl that's in it, I think even her mom was getting like condolence letters, like, we're so sorry about your daughter and just
And
things.
remember, this was like the internet was in its infancy when this movie came out. So I think that drove, it was kind of a modern day. You guys remember the Orson Welles radio reading of War of the Worlds, and there was panic,
Hmm.
and people were like, "Is this really happening?" I think this was kind of in a similar vein, right? In that internet's in its infancy, people don't really understand or know for sure that this is just a film and this didn't happen. But I think it's that unknown that made it so effective at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
agree. It's kind of, I think it catapulted it into like urban legend. Like did
Yeah.
this really happen? Like, yeah.
like Paranormal Activity, they kind of went down that same route too. It's like, is this real? Is it not? And obviously not as effective, but it still spawned a huge franchise because that's what scares people. And I mean, at least for me, the wood setting, and I'll never forget when the climax is about to happen, and they're going through the woods, they're searching for their friend, and they come across this cabin. It's just there in the middle of the woods. They haven't seen it. And that was when I was like, okay, I'm going to have nightmares for a while about this.
And let's not forget the final scene of that film before the camera goes black. She just walks down. Spoiler alert: if you guys haven't seen Blair Witch from '97, they're walking downstairs, and the camera pans down, and then all of a sudden it pans up, and you see the missing friend, and he's just standing in the corner facing the wall. and then you hear the scream and the camera cuts out. I mean, those sorts of things where you're implying or it's implied what's happening off screen is just the most terrifying thing that I can think of.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm honestly surprised. Well, I'm not surprised, I guess. I'm a little bit. I don't know what I am. So horror is such a huge genre. I mean, there are so many types of horror films, but the outdoors it's like this big. It's so tiny. And you'd think like the woods are so scary, the unknown is so terrifying. You'd think it'd be a bigger, I don't know, like subset. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Like, do you think this is like like this could be a larger like market, or do you think it's been there, done that? Like, there's, as far as it can be taken, it's been taken.
I
I think
think
oh, go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, sorry. I think it's a little bit of both. I think maybe some some filmmakers are scared to go do that trope again. I mean, literally, there's a movie called The Cabin in the Woods
Mm-hmm.
because that plays on those tropes. But I think that there's absolutely things there. Or the first couple movies that Chris and I covered on the podcast. I mean, we're babies at this. We've only been doing it for a month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first movies that we did was a Dream Eater, and it was a found footage. It was taking place in a cabin in the woods. And Chris even says on that episode, he's like, "Whatever you do, don't ever go to a cabin in the woods. It does
Mm-hmm.
not matter what you're going through." Um, I think part of it is that it's just some people think it's played out. I don't think personally it is. Slowly more movies are doing a little aspect of that. We did one on Keeper that takes place in a
Mm-hmm.
cabin in the woods. I think for sure, at least when it comes to movies that are truly inspired by an event that happened in the outdoors, those are really few and far between. They're very hard to find, and if you do, they do deviate quite a bit from the actual story. Some are loosely based, some are not. That's why I think Blair Witch Project was so effective because you don't know, could be, could not be. But I think it's a true inherent fear for most people. No one wants to get lost in the middle of the woods as much as you love the outdoors. It's terrifying. It's like being stuck out in the middle of the ocean. We don't know what's under there. We've explored a little bit, but it's really terrifying if you think about it. And that's what we live for. I mean, Chris, weigh in. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a unique appeal to outdoor horror, particularly for me. And the reason I say that is because I think those that grew up, in mountain towns, small towns, with the outdoors were our backyard, right? I grew up in a tiny town of less than 900 people at the base of a mountain. So, for me, knowing what is out there, knowing what can happen to you, it just in the course of nature, no paranormal, no horror added, is scary enough. There's a uniqueness to why someone like me has a fear of the deep woods and has a fear of a specific section of the woods. And I think that kind of thing, I think it's primal. I think and it's different to people who didn't grow up with woods in their backyard, like an urban area. You only hear horror stories, or you mentioned it earlier, you only hear urban legends
Right.
about what is happening in the woods. So I think there's infinite potential for both sides. I think, like I said, there's something innate where if we're lost and we know what's capable of happening to us, I think that drives fear for everybody. And I think that outdoor section, I think being able to execute well written and well developed horror in that area, I think it's an unlimited potential kind of thing. And I love seeing all the new ideas around it.
Yeah. I would have to agree. This isn't necessarily horror, but it's another film that was done that was based off a true story. It's 127 hours. Have you guys
Oh,
seen that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we talked. Yep. I think what
Yeah.
did we were talking about the saw traps in one of our episodes, and we referenced 127 hours when having to cut through a limb.
Yeah, and so that I live in Utah, and that happened in Canyonlands, which I try to go down to Moab like once a year. And I don't, you guys probably don't do this because you're not as, I don't know, you might. I read incident reports of national parks. They're all publicly available online, and there is some like messed up shit in these incident reports, like
I
scary.
was
And I'm
listening to
like,
an
this
episode.
is horror film like food right here. Like this
Yeah.
would be great.
I
Fact is
listened
always
to
stranger than fiction. It's
right.
almost scarier what happens in the real world.
I've listen to a few of your episodes where you're reading these incident reports and
Mhm.
just your delivery, especially, it's just like I'm like, why am I listening to this? This is making me so, which means it's effective. I mean, I was just like, God, this is like there was one that you were talking about with the Ted Bundy case, and
Mhm.
so I was listening to that one. I was just like, man, like, but it's cool when you can find somebody that a shares kind of your, Chris and I call ourselves we're sick.
Yeah.
We
100%. If you
we
listen to our most recent episode that's going to come out tomorrow, you're going to see just how sick.
Can't wait.
it's bad. It's we finished it and we were just like, Christ, man,
It's
that was a
we had
trip.
to, we had to detox a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so like you were saying, the incident reports, I mean, I guess that just scares me to go like seek those out because I
Mhm.
don't want to know. But yeah, I'm glad you can read them for us.
Yeah, I find them fascinating, and I even like my mom flew out here to Utah and we went on like a national park road trip, and she was asking me questions and I'm like, "Well, actually, like, this happened in this incident report." And so at dinner I pull them up and I'm just like, "And we're reading the incident reports at dinner." And she's like, "Please stop." And I'm like, "I can't help it." I'm like it's a morbid curiosity. I'm like fascinated by the horrible things that happen outside. So, and
I always do that. I lived in Glenwood Springs for 4 years. So
mhm.
one of the fun things that I like to do with people, and again, this is getting into morbid true crime a little bit, but you guys know Ted Bundy was arrested right there in Aspen. He jumped out the second story window, ran up into the mountains. They captured him a week later, and they kept him down at the Glenwood Springs jail for a couple weeks before he starved himself and escaped. So I always like to drop those fun little nuggets about, oh yeah, this is where Bundy was held. And if you drive from Glenwood to Grand Junction, where I went to college, I lived in Grand Junction for 7 years. Right outside Rifle, point out to the area towards the falls. Where I'm like, yeah, that's where Bundy killed someone and buried him right out there.
And she's
And
still out
Grand,
there.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Grand Junction is he captured and killed someone in Grand Junction. So I'm like, oh yeah, I lived in that town. Of course, it was 30
Yeah.
years after he operated, but yeah, it's just I like dropping those little nuggets.
Well, and
Again, the sickness.
Yeah.
I'm interested if you guys have seen the Netflix one on Bundy with Zac Efron, where
Mhm.
he plays Bundy. That one was really
Shockingly evil,
and wickedly like
vile,
the
and wicked. Yeah, something. It's what the judge
wickedly.
said. It's what the judge told Bundy when he sentenced him
Mhm.
down in Florida.
It's not wickedly handsome like Zac Efron is, but
I mean, Zac Efron, yeah,
man, I mean,
something like
Zac
that.
Efron, man. But yeah, that one, just speaking of movies, I mean, obviously it's not really a horror because they don't really show anything in that movie, but I think it's really well done. And, he's charismatic, let's say, if nothing else. But yeah, it's just, and this is kind of what our show's like too. We go on these random tangents, and, even if we try to stick to a script, it never happens.
I'm fine with it. I do mine by myself, obviously, and I'm like, I wish I had someone to talk to sometimes.
You're
It's a little bit
welcome
more natural.
anytime.
A
I
hundred
love
percent.
it. Yeah, I think like there's such a I don't know, just because I do read incident reports and go on deep dives, I'm like, there is great these would be some great movies. I mean, like just have like a little tiny thing and you can make this whole movie out of it. I would love to watch it. And I don't know if you guys have seen this one, but it's called Significant Other, and it's on Paramount Plus. And it's a slow burn, like it's kind of slow, but it's good. And it's this couple that goes on a backpacking trip, and something happens, and it's very interesting. It's sci-fi, so it's not like, oh, someone murdered her significant other. It's like aliens. So, and I love that stuff. So I'm like, oh, it's so good. So that's a good watch too. But
Well,
speaking,
Significant other. I'll write it down. Add it to the list.
yeah,
I might
it's
have seen a
good.
trailer for that. The name is sticking out to me. I haven't seen it though. But on Aliens, have you seen The Fourth Kind?
I believe I watched so much. I'm like, I don't I'd have to watch a little bit of it, but refresh my memory.
It's basically it's kind of like a mockumentary documentary because they use real footage along with filmed footage, and I forget is it Jodie Foster? It's
Oh, is that when
a
the
big name.
owls are visiting?
Yes,
Yes, yes, I have seen that. Yeah.
yeah, that one stuck with me. I'm not sure why, and actually, I don't know if you got all the way to the end of that
Yeah.
VHS episode because that's a long ass episode. We actually end up agreeing on our favorite segment from the VHS series, and it's actually Alien Invasion or Alien Slumber Party, and it's just funny that that's how it worked out. They live in a cabin. I think they're out in the middle of nowhere too. So
Yeah, in
They're
like
on a lake.
Alaska.
Yeah,
they're
they're
on
on
a
a
lake.
lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that stuff. My mom's gonna kill me. My mom actually has a video on YouTube of a UFO from 2010. So
Send us that link.
and what's crazy about it is not film related, but she like woke me up. It was like 2, 3 in the morning, and she was like, "There's a spaceship outside in like middle of nowhere, Arkansas." And she videos. It's kind of shaky because her hand was shaking, but she videos this and then puts it on YouTube. And she was like, "Well, we can't call the news because we have too many teeth, so no one's gonna listen to us." But and the day after it happened, January 2nd, 2010, a whole flock of birds just dropped out of the sky dead in BB, Arkansas. And so it's just like, I don't know,
That terrifies me.
aliens. I know. I'm like, I would love to see more like alien outdoors, kind of esque films. I would love to see that.
Yeah, like I mean, Signs is one I go to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that traumatized me because it's the scene where they're at the birthday party and the alien just comes walking by. And but I mean, just like the cornfields in there and the signs that they make in that. But yeah, I agree with you. I feel like there's a ton of untapped potential there, even though it is a horror trope, which is kind of awkward to say because it
Yeah.
should be easy. But yeah, and then we talked a little off air about some that were uh, developed from an actual story, a true story. And one we landed on was Backcountry, and uh, I went back and watched some of the scenes today, which I don't know why I did because I'm stupid, but the bear attack in that movie is, dare I say, it's better than the one in The Revenant. It's more realistic.
Oh,
It is.
that's
Have you seen
that's a
Backcountry?
claim.
Dude,
That's a claim.
have you seen Backcountry?
I have not.
Oh, okay. Well, once we get off this, watch it because the bear attack in that it's just so raw and so primal and so real, and it is very graphic. It is whereas like the one in The Revenant is pretty graphic, but you can tell like it's like professional cinematography. This one's shaky cam. This one is you truly feel like you're in the tent getting attacked with them, and it's absolutely terrifying, and especially that it happened to real people. And I mean, at least you were saying the what the lady that was involved in it, that she had a really tragic end
Mm-hmm.
after the fact, and it's just stuff like that really gets to me. And then like Grizzly Man, not really a horror movie, but
Still
um,
haunting to watch. Horrible to
so
watch.
People, there's a lot of people that don't quite understand, while we're on the topic of outdoors and bears, right? They don't understand how massive a grizzly or a brown bear is when it's standing up on its hind legs and it's angry at you. I mean, it's not a joke, but there's a saying, don't ever run from a bear because you'll just die tired. If it's chasing you and it wants to get you like that is a horrifying prospect because those bears, I mean, they're so massive, and I mean, their bite force is like I think it was the bite force of the bear can like bite through a bowling ball or something. I don't know if that's true, but it's just like you said, thinking of this animal eating you while you're there, and gnawing through your bones. You said that earlier, Alicia. That was one of the
Yeah.
things that the writer kind of explained. I mean, it's at the forefront of my mind. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like something the bear could
Yeah,
do.
the
Absolutely.
woman that the movie was based on, she wrote a book, and I cannot remember what the book is called, but it's a really good read. It's horrifying to read. She's talking when this bear attack was happening, she could hear it crunching her bones. Like it was literally chewing her up. She was fully awake. And she did, later she suffered a lot of surgeries, and her partner did survive, so it's different than the movie ending. But and I went to that national park last year, actually, Waterton Lakes National Park in Canada, and they closed that trail. You cannot camp there overnight. And when I was on a boat tour, I asked the guide, like, "Hey, like, I kind of know about what happened." And he's like, "Yeah, we don't talk about that." And for good, they don't want to ruin their tourism, but I'm like, that's kind of a disservice because that really happens. And the reason why in real life that the attack happened, there was a mountain goat cache that the bear had buried nearby, and they obviously didn't know, and that's what prompted the bear attack. And Here's a survival tip for both of you. You might know this. If it's brown, lie down. If it's black, fight back. So black bears fight back, good chance of survival. Grizzlies, brown bears, just play like you're dead. So
Pray to God that it just doesn't, it's not hungry and it doesn't think you're a
yeah.
threat. That's pretty much
Mm-hmm.
all you can do.
Yeah.
At least saving lives out here.
Yeah. Yeah. The more you know.
I mean, so when I was in college, I worked for the Boy Scouts and I worked at Philmont Scout Ranch in New Mexico. And my mom was just terrified of me working out, and on a ranch by myself in the backcountry. And we went to summit a mountain. It was like 13,000 over 13,000 feet, and so we're gonna do it overnight. And we're backpacking, and she was terrified of bears in New Mexico, and there are a lot of black bears in New Mexico. But I'm like, it's fine. Like they're just black bears. They're not gonna harm me. And she was like, well, I said, hiking alone is actually frowned upon at this place. You're supposed to hike in pairs for safety reasons. She's like, so one can get breakfast and then have a snack. And I'm like, no. And I remember I sent her a picture of a black bear in the parking lot of the trailhead that I was going on. Like, I was like, oh, and I'm starting on the trail, and here's a bear.
I
But
when I live, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
no,
cut you
no, you're
off.
good. You're good.
I was gonna say when I lived in Glenwood Springs for 4 years after Grand Junction, and if you guys don't know, Glenwood Springs it's kind of smack dab in the middle of the mountains. It's literally the mountain town you think of. I worked early morning as an executive at a retail store, so I would get there at 5:36 in the morning, get ready for the day. Well, I walked up one time and I noticed there was just like a wet smear on the employee entrance door, which is right next to the food court. And I said, that's kind of strange. And I was by myself. I'm walking up, it's still dark, walking up to the door like I've done 100 times. Open it, walk in. And then as soon as our security guy gets there, I'm like, hey, man, can you check the cameras? There's this weird thing on the door, like when I came in this morning. Sure enough, about 35 minutes before I arrived, there's a black bear right there at the entrance door, and it had rubbed its face and its nose on the glass. It probably smelled like the trash that hadn't been emptied, but it was right there in the parking lot, walked up and tried to do that, and then it just walked off. I was like, I'm really glad that I was not here 35 minutes early today.
Yeah.
Smells like savings.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a new definition of doorbusters.
Yeah, backcountry is a really good one. That's scary, but not scary in like I'm scared of what could happen. It's like, oh, this does happen to people, and it's very real, and it's not sci-fi. It's like this does happen, and that freaks me out. Like bear attacks and animal things, it does freak me out. I think more than the sci-fi stuff because it could happen.
Right.
The more real it is out there, the more you're afraid. I mean, bears is one of them. There's also animals you don't think about, like moose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you come across a
Mises.
mother moose, yeah, mises. If you come across a moose and her calf, number one, you don't know how massive a moose is, so you actually see it in person. Two, don't disturb them, don't get near them, don't do any of those things because they'll mess you up.
And just obviously it's not the wilderness or anything, but there's a movie called Open Water, and it takes place. It's I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Mhm.
It's another one that's like 65 minutes long. It's not long at all, but
I
it's a
saw that
true.
one at the drive-in.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's like almost the length of a trailer. That's how short the movie feels. But it follows this couple. They're on a scuba trip, and there's a head count that goes wrong, and they are left out in the middle of the ocean. And it is the most simplistic movie you will ever see. It's an hour of two people floating and having this dialogue, and sharks come around, and it's just like that. That is terrifying to me because that did really happen.
It did, yeah.
You're stuck out. Have you seen it?
I think I watched it, and it's based on a true story of
Mhm.
they were on their honeymoon or something like that.
Yeah, and just having been out in the ocean, and that movie always pops in my head. I'm like, okay, if I go on a scuba trip or a snorkeling trip, I'm getting right back on that boat before everybody else does.
I have an extreme fear of the deep ocean for that kind of stuff.
That's
Maybe it's because I'm a mountain kid and I grew up in the mountains with no ocean around. Maybe if I grew up closer to the ocean, I'd be less afraid of it. But yeah, terrified of it.
Yeah, I think, and I'm from a landlocked state as well, and I think I'm also scared of the ocean. I think it's just like if we're landlocked states, I there's no experience there, right? So I don't know. I'm definitely afraid of the ocean. And I just watched I think it's called Dangerous Animals, maybe.
That's on my list to watch. How was it?
It was okay. I didn't love it. It was just kind of
'Cause it's like
predictable.
it's like a killer that works on a shark
Yeah.
cage boat or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just kind of I didn't love it,
Okay.
but
Okay. Not a recommendation.
no, not one that I would give. Like it was great. I thought it was meh.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, Open Water, definitely that one is and they made a sequel too, which I don't know if it's based on a true story or not, but not sure if you guys have seen the sequel, but in that one, it's a party yacht and they all jump into the ocean, but they forget to bring down
Oh,
the
they can't get
ladder.
back on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm, yep. So a different kind of fear of the ocean. Sanctuary is right there and you can't get to it. So those are always fun. Then you get the weird ones like the God, what was it called? It had Blake Lively in it. It was where sharks
The
going
reef,
after the is it the reef? Oh
the
no, the
reef, the
shallows. The
shallows.
Yeah.
shallows, yeah. And it's like the shark has some weird CGI vendetta against her. So those aren't as scary, but definitely the ones in the deep ocean that are very realistic. So like between that and Backcountry, can't urge you guys enough to watch these movies, especially if you if you like being scared like us sickos. It's they definitely will make you think and think twice about
Well,
your decisions.
and I think of the movie like the Deep Woods, the perfect plot device for serial killers, is it not?
It
I don't know
is,
if you
yeah.
guys are familiar with In a Violent Nature on Shudder. I
I
mean,
don't think I've seen
that
that one.
was so. This was unique in that it's not really a found footage one, but the film is presented from the perspective of the killer. The whole film.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's him stalking people, chasing them. It takes place outside in the woods, of course. But the whole film is from his perspective of stalking the people and killing them and all the things that he does. It's a unique play on it, but I think again it harkens back to that fear of like, hey, we're remote from civilization. There's no one around. If someone wanted to hurt me and do something, they could potentially get away with it because there's no one else here. Like, that's a terrifying plot device on its own.
Oh, for sure. Tons of people use the wilderness to cover up crimes and I read through, like I said, these incident reports, and I'm like, that one sounds fishy. I think the husband actually pushed the wife off of the cliff because I'm like,
Right.
how often do you just fall off a cliff? Like it does happen, but again, like I think people go outside and they commit terrible crimes, murders, and all kinds of stuff, and it's often chalked up to, oh, it's just outdoors, and that's just what happens, and I'm just waiting on A24 to kind of corner this market of like outdoor horror thriller. I've been loving their stuff. Like everything recently, like they have given some great stuff.
Well, and those movies from A24, and you're right, if there was a company to corner that market, it would totally be
Mm-hmm.
A24. Which they started out like super low budget, low, it would be like straight to DVD. Kids, a DVD is a disc that you put into a player and you watch a movie that way. But it's a little, oh, sorry, I'm knocking over my mic here. Little newer than VHS, but um, God, where was I? I just knocked off my mic.
A24 started low
A24,
budget.
perfect. And they really hit the spot with Hereditary.
Uh-huh.
That one, which actually that gave me the kind of the inspiration to even think about doing our podcast with Chris, but because I saw that movie with my wife and my brother, and obviously, what's the first thing you do when you leave a movie theater with your friends? You go, "Hey, what'd you think?" And they asked me first, and I said, I think that's one of the best horror movies of our generation in recent memory. And they're like, oh, it was so boring. We hated it. And it led to one of the most heated discussions we've ever
Crazy.
had. And they thought they didn't like the slow burn of it. And then I was like, oh, next thing you're going to tell me is that you don't like The Witch. And they're like, that was even more boring. And I'm like, how dare you?
Hereditary was filmed in Utah, so I actually drive by the some of the sites that it was filmed at, and it's always creepy because the cemetery is not too far away from where I live, so it's
Oh,
very
that's
pretty. But
awesome.
it's also like, oh, I was in Hereditary.
Well, and Tony Collette is so good in that, and there's so many visuals in that movie that A24 does a great job at that, and then they flip
Hmm.
it
When
around.
she's sawing through her own neck with a piano wire.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Or
Ugh.
he slams his head on the desk to wake up in the middle of class, and obviously the car ride where hey, just need some air.
That
So
was traumatizing.
so
Yeah, yeah,
traumatizing.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and then then they followed it up with what Midsommar, and that's
Even
completely
more
different,
traumatizing.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, like never want to get in a relationship again. You're, at least treat your partner well. That's the moral of the story. Go to any
Don't go
festival.
to outdoor festivals in foreign countries that you know nothing about. How about that?
Right.
Well, I like, speaking of deeper meanings or the moral of the story, I love horror because there's always a deeper meaning, and there's something very profound usually in good horror, in my opinion. And I don't know if you guys also like horror for that reason, but there's always more to think about. It's not just surface level. There's always like, I don't know, I love English, and I used to love writing papers in college and stuff. And I recently saw Good Boy. Have you guys seen that one where it's filmed
We
from the
yeah,
dog's
we did that.
perspective?
We did that as an episode. What, 2 weeks ago, Ryan?
No, that was actually so that was a part of our first episode where we kind of went through, we were just getting started. So we're like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
let's do a recap of some of our favorite horror movies from the past year. And that was one of the more recent ones on that.
Mhm.
And yeah, we had a lot to say on that one, but it's so underrated. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I went and saw it in theaters with my husband, and afterwards I'm like, that was so good. Like, what did you think of the ending? And he had a very surface level, like, I thought it was good. And I'm like, you didn't understand like the deeper thing. I love talking horror because there's more. There's always more. Like the Babadook. I saw that and I was
Mhm.
like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that was very deep. And I think a lot of people miss that. They miss the mark on horror with like, oh, it's just a scary movie. Like it's never just a scary movie, in my opinion.
Yeah,
No,
I think Ryan, you and I were talking about it. I think one of the reasons that I'm so drawn to horror, I think, is exactly that, right? I think surface level people have this idea that, especially today, there's movies that just try to outgore the last movie, and there's this
Hmm.
much blood, and there's this new plot device that's really bloody and gross, and this person kills this person. For me, it's there's so much more in that. I think horror, particularly good horror films, they really force us to examine the parts of ourselves and the parts of humanity that we don't necessarily want to look at. And I think there's something to be said for not necessarily glamorizing or approving of those parts, but I think the recognition that they exist. And I think the respect that they are part of our natures and other people's natures. I think that's the best and most effective way to combat them, honestly. So I think it's important.
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, going to what you were saying about movies with deeper meaning and horror movies, and one that sticks out to me is and I can't remember if this was A24 as well, but It Follows. That one, I
Yeah.
mean, that one,
Fantastic movie.
yeah, and that one is it's creepy, but it has, it's the underlying issue of, of STDs and that culture, and it's so well done and presented to really make you think after the credits roll. And even the Smile movies, I mean,
Hmm.
those can be a little bloody, but I mean that touches on trauma.
It's a
And
drama, yeah.
so I love it when a movie does that. And that's part of our show too, is that because people we want to make it for people that maybe aren't even that into horror movies, because we truly believe that it's not one size fits all. There is truly something out there for everybody. Maybe you just haven't found it yet. We've touched on the subgenres. You have the really gory ones, you have the deep ones, you have the funny ones, you have just the stupid shut your mind off and watch people get messed up for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why we also like doing this and talking about it. I mean, we could talk all day and all night about any movies. But yeah, definitely when a movie can make you think more about just what scared you in it, obviously that hits harder.
Forcing
Yeah.
yourself to ask the question, why does this scare me? I think is a
Hmm.
great question to be asking ourselves.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I've only been doing my show for like a year and like a few months. And so I'm still newbie at it, but I had an idea. I was like, I would love to do a horror movie review podcast. I think I would be too boring to do it. I love horror, but I just think I do my show by myself, so it's hard just to talk about, movies by yourself. But I love that you guys are doing this because I also had that thought and I was like, I can't do that. I know more about the outdoors than I do films and horror. And I think it's great. I was actually talking to a coworker that loves horror, and so we have that. And I was like, "There's a new podcast, and it's called Roasted Snow Horror Show, and you should listen to it." And so he was like really excited because that's all he watches, and we discuss that at work. And I love it, and yeah, I think it's great.
Well,
We're
and
having a blast doing it. We're getting, if we feel like we're getting better with every episode, we're getting more creative. It's so fun to brainstorm with Ryan about how the new things that we want to do and the promotional things that we want to do. We're planning a live podcast for next Halloween that we'll do in Ryan's neighborhood when everyone's trick or treating. So, some fun stuff coming. We're really excited.
and I mean, obviously, you said you're new to this, doing it a
Yeah.
year. I mean, we're like, man, that's man, a whole year. I mean, we're a month and a half into this. Where our first episode was on Halloween, but and obviously, going through and meeting all these new people with the podcast community. I guess a thing that I didn't realize that was going to happen was just how welcoming everyone has been and how supportive within this community. I mean, it's a tough thing to break into. It's everybody has one, it seems. But everyone that I've talked to, it has just been so supportive, and this community lifts each other up. And I'm sure there's some people that don't, but I haven't run into them yet. So I'm gonna just keep surrounding ourselves with some good people, and we can't thank you enough for having us on, and especially if you've never had a guest on this one, we
Yeah,
love
never.
that.
Yeah, you guys are the first. Yeah, I
Love it.
I found the community to be really supportive as well. It's fun. I think if you really like your content, what you talk about, it doesn't feel like work. I work a full-time job just like you guys, and like doing this is actually really fun. I'm like, I like recording. I like researching. I love, it's all scary stuff and I love that. But I think if you love it, like it's gonna go by really fast. I actually couldn't believe I'd been doing it for a year, and I think September or October. So I'm like, wow, like it's been a whole year, and people have a lot to say online. So don't mispronounce things. But
we were doing the Saw Traps episode, and before we knew it, we looked down and we're like, "Hey, we've been recording this one for 2.5 hours because we can just get lost in all of these tropes." And again, talking about the things that we really love and mean a lot to us. So, yeah, we love that.
yeah.
And
Sorry,
sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, and we were just back to the Saw one, and just how strange it is to be doing these shows and recording, because like I'm sitting there editing, and just recently we started putting video clips in there. So like I'm sitting at my kitchen counter and Googling like, okay, hey, I need somebody doing brain surgery and Saw, and get that video clip, and then like, oh snap, I gotta go pick up my kid from kindergarten.
Yeah. I do feel like sometimes it's like living a double life, because I have this work life and I work with kids, and then I'm like talking about like really messed up shit on my show, and it's just like, okay, yeah. And I've talked to my supervisors and they're like, no, it's okay. One of them actually listens, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. And she likes it, but I'm like, okay, like I said, I'm not gonna lose my job, right? Like this isn't gonna affect anything. And she's like, no, no, I mean, if you're not talking about your work or the kids or whatever, like it doesn't. I'm like, okay, I'm hesitant, but everybody that I work with knows that I do this, and it's just like, yeah, it's kind of like an alter ego, like, oh, I was just doing speech therapy with 5-year-olds and now I'm talking really 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 weird stuff.
And this is a Ted Bundy victim.
Yep. This is when a bear attacked and killed this woman.
Yeah. Well, it's so hard because like I work with a lot of older kids in like fifth and sixth grade, and a lot of them and I share similar interests, which is kind of, I don't know if it's sad or funny, but they will ask me if I've seen these movies, and I'm like, yeah, and they're like, what'd you think? And I'm like, I really can't discuss that with you. It's not really school appropriate, so let's go back to speech therapy. But I love it. So speaking of the outdoors, so Ryan, we talked about like why the outdoors are so creepy. Do you have any creepy things that have happened to you outside?
Yeah, actually, and I really am upset for you bringing it up because I
Oh
wanted
no,
to
you
sleep
don't have to
tonight.
share if you
But
don't want
no, no, no.
to.
It's actually looking back on it now, I can laugh about it, but it's just, and it's not even really anything that happened. It was what might have happened. I was camping with a couple friends. I was just out of high school, I think, and we, for some reason, we took my car, and I drove a little '98 Plymouth Neon, and it not a great mountain vehicle,
Hmm.
if you guys know, but so I drove, and my friends, they were like, okay, hey, we have the spot we want to camp out. We know where we're going. Truth is, they didn't have a damn clue where they were going. They were like, here, just drive over here. So I'm already stressed out because I'm like, this is the beginning of every horror movie I've ever seen. We stopped at a little store that was on the way to the trail, and there's this, older lady there, and I'm like, what are you hiding? Where are you sending us? And so we go and we find just this campsite down this hill, and it's not like an actual like designated camp spot. Um, it it had like somebody had been there because it had like a wood panel that somebody was doing target practice on. And I
Mm.
was like, maybe we shouldn't stay here, guys. They're like, no, 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 it's totally fine. I'm like, yeah, sure, fine. Um, we were supposed to stay there, I think, 3 days. We ended up only staying a day because that night we I was just in my tent and and you hear branches breaking in the
Hmm.
distance now and again, and I'm already hyper aware because I'm like, this is a horror movie. Jason's out here, something's
Hmm.
out here that's gonna get me. Um, I think I was near like Bailey, Colorado. I can't remember exactly where I was at, but um, so then hear that, and then I hear some footsteps around, and I'm pretty sure it's my buddy just messing with me. And then he starts putting his hand by the tent and this and that, and
Oh my
then
gosh.
I was like, all right, fine, ha ha ha. And then starts taking off the other way, and I'm just like, all right, Bill, yeah, where to go? And then he yells from his tent, and he goes, "What are you talking about, dude?" I'm like, oh my God. So then I get out and I like, flashlight, and I'm like, I actually hope I don't see anything because that's gonna freak me out. Didn't see anything, but I definitely heard somebody running away. So we decided to, not do what they do in horror movies and actually
And
leave
stay,
the
yeah.
next day.
Yeah.
And then it was, I think we left on a Saturday, and I think it was on Monday. There was a news report that some like student from CSU that was in the area doing some research was murdered in that area. Now, I mean, my mind goes to, oh my God, that could have been us. It could have just been whatever. I don't know. Could
Hmm.
have been somebody just messing with us. I don't know. But because I mean, our car was up on the street. It wasn't a street. It wasn't a paved road or anything. But if anybody had come across, then maybe somebody messed with us. But definitely stuck out in my mind that like maybe that was that person. Because and then obviously that poor student that was killed out there. Thoughts went to them. And but yeah, that is the scariest thing that happened. That obviously maybe it's a little boring because
No,
nothing
it's
actually
not.
fucking happened. But
Well, and whoever was messing with you or doing that on your tit, that's really ballsy because personally, when I go camping, I carry and it's shoot first, ask questions later.
right,
And so I'm
right.
like, if
Exactly
anyone's doing
right.
that to
That's
my tent,
exactly right.
no.
We weren't
Especially
that
we're in Colorado where it's
Yeah.
open carry state, and
Hmm.
me especially from the Western Slope, right? So you're
Uh-huh.
very likely to be shot
Yeah,
before anyone asks any questions about who you are or what you're doing.
well,
exactly.
we
Yeah.
we weren't that prepared, so I don't know. And then my mind went to other places. I'm like, was this person like out in the distance, like watching what we were doing, and like were they like ready to pounce, like, and we just didn't see them or what? So my mind went a million different places. None of them are probably what happened. And for all I know, it could have been something that my mind just thought that it was somebody that was doing it. But I still remember seeing the
It could have
fingertips
been,
kind of onto the tent, and
yeah,
I just thought it was my buddy. And so maybe me saying something scared him off. I have
scared
no
it off.
idea. But,
Yeah, it
but
could
yeah,
have been something else that lives in the woods. So
absolutely. Could have been a Wendigo. I don't
it
know.
could have been a skinwalker. I mean, there's like
Yeah.
a million things. What about you, Chris? Do you have any like scary outdoors?
Oh, absolutely. You know where I grew up.
Yeah.
So I think I would say the scariest one is nothing paranormal or nothing unknown,
Uh-huh.
just being actually stalked by a mountain lion.
Oh, geez.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen, you've probably seen the reel where the guy is backing up and there's the mountain lion on the dirt road and it's like coming at him.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't to that degree, but it was my buddy Charlie and his sister Liz. We were walking back from his house because we were camping up above his house. And again, you being familiar with Hotchkiss, I mean, a lot of the houses on the outskirts of Hotchkiss is you're on 20 acres of land and
Mm-hmm.
behind it is the mountains. So you can imagine all the animals and the creatures that live up there. Well, we're walking back from the tent back to his house, and it's at night, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, we're walking back and we hear up in the woods, we hear something. We have nice big flashlights and we shine them up, we don't see anything. And we keep walking and we keep hearing this thing behind us. We turn around and shine up, we're like, I know something's out there. So we're screaming, we're making a lot of noise, and we're like, we just got to get back to the house. So we turn around and walk again. and then we hear just like like gravel. You think of gravel on like a hillside, right? Like dirt, like sliding down. And the three of us turn around and shine our lights, and we can see like up the hill where the tree line is. We're staring right at a mountain lion that's just staring right back at us.
Mm.
And we're now at this point we're keeping the lights on and we're just backing away, trying to be loud. And it stares at us, and then it walks around the next tree like it's going to start following us. And now we're scared out of our minds, so we just pick up rocks and start throwing them at him. Thankfully, he turned around and just left. But knowing that he was following us for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, while we could hear the things, we couldn't see anything. That was definitely one of the scariest outdoor moments that I've ever had in my life. Because we were not armed. We were kids at the time. We were 12, 13 years old.
Yeah. And mountain lions, they're opportunistic, so they'll just kill you to kill you. It's not even
Yeah.
it's just
I
for
mean,
fun.
had we not turned around and shined the lights on it and would able to keep an eye on it, who knows what had happened.
Yeah, that's scary. I
Yeah.
have a very short, well, I have two. I want to share two, but so I did travel healthcare for a few years, and that's how I lived in Colorado for a while. But before that, I was in Oregon, in Southern Oregon near Crater Lake National Park. And I don't know if you guys know anything about the missing 411 stuff outdoors. So it's basically like there's really good docs on Amazon, and it's called Missing 411, and then the second one is called Missing 411: The Hunted, and it's basically like it's not even a conspiracy. It's just this retired law enforcement detective, David Politis, and he looks into missing persons cases that happen in like national parks or national forests. And there are like clusters of like missing persons who match this like criteria of 8 different things. And basically it's like people just bam, gone. And they're just gone, no trace. And like it's crazy. And I made my sister-in-law watch them, and she was like, I don't ever want to go outside again because they're documentaries. It's like real life. But what I like about the documentaries is that the filmmakers don't lead, they don't ask questions, they're really interviewing these people, and these people are just telling their stories, and there's no like implications, like there's nothing implied, it's just like facts from what happened. Well, Crater Lake is one of those clusters of missing persons, and I was hiking outside of Crater Lake with my dog, and he was like 8 or 9 at the time. He's been hiking with me. He sleeps in tents with me. He's a really good dog, and he grew up outdoors with me. And I got up to do a solo hike. My husband does not go hiking with me most of the time, and that's totally fine. But I'm by myself with my dog, and we're not even a quarter into the trail, and he stops in his tracks, stops, doesn't growl, doesn't bark. He just stops. And he's a corgi, so he's got ears that are straight up. So he's like always at alert, but he just stops, and I'm like, "What the hell? Like what's wrong with him?" Like, so I'm like dragging his ass. I'm like, come on, we're going to do this because I really wanted to see this waterfall." And he would not go any further. Would not. He's never done this before. And so I've got treats. I'm like trying to entice him. Just I mean, he's just staring into like the woods and he's not doing anything. And the minute I'm like, I'm not gonna get him to go further on this trail, I turn around, he just walks back to the car like everything's fine. And I'm
He's
like,
like, I don't want to
oh
be
my
here.
gosh. And I didn't even try to attempt that hike again because I was like, he obviously knows that something is happening that I don't know. But I'm like, that has never happened since either. And he goes with me everywhere. So it was super creepy. So I'm
It's
wondering if
like
it was
in
any
Good
animal.
Boy.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
a good boy.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then in Colorado, this is probably I don't know if it's scary, it's just really sad, like haunting. So my first backpacking trip ever was at Great Sand Dunes National Park. And this was back in 2017. And have you guys been to Great Sand Dunes National Park?
Oh yeah, it's just it's about maybe what maybe an hour south of us, right?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
an hour and a half.
I went more as a kid there. I haven't
As a
been there
kid.
like recently, but yeah, it sticks out in my
It's
mind. Yeah.
pretty remote. I mean, you guys know it's like pretty remote. You can get a backcountry permit to go into the dunes to stay there overnight, and that's what we were doing, some friends and I. And it was terrible. Hiking in sand is not fun. It's not enjoyable. You have to go like more than a mile in to be away from a water source for safety contamination reasons. And I'm out there and we decide to hike up to a really tall dune just to take sunset photos, just to have a better, view of the sunset. And we are like looking all around and we see this like tiny person, they're off in the distance and they're like walking kind of towards us. We're like, oh my gosh, this will be fun. We'll have like company out here, like, in horror movies, you just invite random strangers, like, and this person, they were far enough away we couldn't really see like facial features or anything like that. But the sun was setting, it was becoming dusk, and we were about to go back, hike back down the dune into our tents, and this person didn't have any gear on. I mean, if you've got a backpack, you can tell someone's got a backpack because there's this giant thing. No gear. We were like we're waving, and they saw us and turned around and started walking in the opposite direction. And they have no gear. We're like, that's really weird. They didn't wave back at us. It was really weird. And we came out of the dunes, we finished our trip, and then like a week or so later, we see a news article about a man that had died in Great Sand Dunes. And he was from New York. And we actually, the place that you have to park for backpacking there is called the Point of No Return, which is kind of creepy. But you park your car there, and that's where you're entering the dunes. And we had seen a car from New York with New York plates because we were like, wow, that's a really far way to drive. And so my friends and I were like 90% sure that we saw this man out there before he died, and it was likely a suicide mission for him. But I think about that all the time because I'm like, that's crazy. We don't know for sure, but like, Occam's razor, it's likely what happened. So that's
Yep.
probably my scariest thing. And Colorado and the Great Sand Dunes. So see a tiny person, we wave, they just ignore us and go the opposite way.
What a rough way to go if that was a deliberate thing by him. Man, that oof. Yeah, I was gonna
Tough
make a
one.
joke. I'm like, that was Chris. And then you finish it off really, really sad. So
And
it's like,
yeah,
okay,
and
I won't say that joke.
it's sad. And like this man that was the second time he'd become lost out there.
Mm.
And so and then that's how I kind of learned that national park rangers actually have to be trained on suicide and things to look out for, because this is also super morbid. A lot of people want to die in a pretty place, and
And
they go out to
beautiful
national
surroundings.
parks, and then they don't realize like I'm literally going to starve to death. And so a lot of the rescues and stuff like that are failed suicide attempts. And
Yep.
national park rangers are like very aware on like what to look for in visitors because it's a super common occurrence. So
Well, it's like there was the movie. I don't think it was even a great movie, but the forest. It's about the
mm-hmm,
suicide forest
mm-hmm,
in
Japan.
Japan.
yeah.
Which I will, I've seen pictures of that place and listened to some podcasts on it and some documentaries. That it's just that place creeps me out.
I think there's a
Even
reason why the Japanese do that horror so well.
oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely.
I've
They
always said I'm like the Korean and Thai and Japanese horror movies are way scarier than
Oh
American
man,
horror movies.
Korean horror, South Korean horror films are
Uh-huh.
so intense. Train to Busan,
mhm.
old. I mean, they are so good,
Yeah.
so good.
They know what
Um
they're doing.
yeah, they
That's for
do.
sure.
Have you guys seen I think it's called The Incantation. It used to be on Netflix. I don't know if it is anymore.
It's on my list. I haven't seen it,
Okay, I
It
but
just have
sounds
to warn
familiar. I don't
you.
think I've seen
So
it yet.
I have this really bad habit of I have to, when I read a book or watch a movie, I have to know how it ends before I finish it. I still finish it, but
No, you're one of those.
we're getting off this
um,
podcast.
so
Yeah.
I'm like recovering. I'm recovering from that because I now that I have a Kindle, I don't really do that because I can't work it well enough to figure out how to go to the last page and then back to where I'm at. But
Even Kindle knows, hey, you don't do this.
Yeah,
yeah.
you don't do these
And
things.
I was watching Incantation and I was getting so freaked out. It's probably one of the scariest movies I've seen. I read the ending and turned it off. I did not finish. I could not watch the ending. Like it was that bad. I was like, I'm sorry. I cannot. I saw how it ends. I can't do it. And it's really creepy. It's really scary.
We
Man,
got to watch this now. The
I know.
Incantation.
Okay, it's
Roast
I
Snow Horror Show episode about the
the
Incantation coming soon.
incantation.
It's
and why you don't
good.
skip to the end.
I was like, I can't, like, it's too scary. And okay, so speaking of like the Asian countries, how they do really good horror. So I recently covered a case, and that happened in Japan in like 1989. And I'm probably gonna butcher this pronunciation. Mount Asihidake. And so it's in a national park, and it kind of looks like Colorado, like the San Juans. I would liken it to that kind of, imagine the San Juans in Colorado. Super pretty, very, very remote. And in 1989, there were two men from Tokyo that went hiking. They got lost, and they had to be rescued, and they were rescued from a helicopter. So I'm telling you this because I think this would be a great film, because it's true and it happened outdoors. And I'm like, you could go so many different places with this. But helicopter, see the two guys, they rescue them. While they're in the helicopter, the people that rescued them were like, "We're glad we saw your SOS sign." And the hikers were like, we didn't have an SOS sign. So then they're thinking, oh shit, there's more people that are out there and they need rescuing. So they go up. There's an SOS sign made from birch trees. It's huge. And they find a hole
Sorry.
with like a wallet and human remains and other things, a backpack and a recording that this person had made trying to get rescued. And so I'm like,
No,
I just
no.
think, and the creepy part is like whoever this was, they sent the bones off. This wasn't like, and then this was like a year or so later, so like 1990, like DNA is not really a big thing. This skeleton, these remains were found to be a woman's remains with a type of blood, I can't remember what type. But the person who's on the recording whose stuff that was an ID was there was someone else. So it's like people think conspiracy. And then a couple years later, the police are like, actually, no, we made a mistake. It was this person and, different blood type, and it's actually a male. So it's like, I feel like that would be such a great movie. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, I don't know if you've heard of that case before.
I
I,
haven't, but
that's new to me.
let's make that movie. Let's do
We'll
I
write the
think it
script.
would
Let's
be
go.
great
it.
because I'm like, it's crazy. And that happens a lot in the outdoors when someone, like this happened a lot with the Gabby Petito case of like
Yeah.
everyone's looking for people and so many other human remains are found because people are actually outside looking. And so I'm like, I feel like there's a lot that could be done in the horror film genre with like crazy things that happen outside.
Oh yeah,
That's a
it's
great plot device.
and it needs to be utilized more. Horror peeps, do this.
Get on
Yeah.
it. A24, give us a call.
Yeah,
Yes, I
we
have
need
so many
content.
ideas. Yeah, I don't know. I love the outdoors and the scary, and I'm so glad that you guys are doing the show because I can't wait to listen. So now I'm like, I have another podcast I can listen to, and
Well,
yeah,
and same with us. And you're more than welcome anytime. If a movie comes out that you see that you want to talk about, let's jump on. Let's do it.
I would love to
We'd
do
love
that.
to
That
do
would
it.
be
It's about
awesome.
that time. It's about that time.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. Is there anything else that any other movies or anything else we haven't gotten on a tangent on yet?
I mean, we got to be careful what we start because we won't finish.
I
But
Right.
no, just this has been a lot of fun. Just want to say thank you. Like you said, definitely getting this started and being able to talk about, like you both said earlier, just finding other peeps in the community that we can talk about the things that mean a lot to us and that we love to talk about has been fantastic so far. We really appreciate the time and the opportunity to come on.
Yep. I can't thank you enough. Had a lot of fun tonight. A lot of different discussions. Just a couple things we're working on our side to look forward to. As Chris mentioned, I'm not sure when you're releasing this episode, but tomorrow we have our darkest episode yet.
Get
We
ready.
go we go over five of the most extreme, disturbing horror movies that we've seen and that we probably won't watch again. There's some very disturbing subject matter in that one. We try to make light of it as best we
Hmm.
can, as we do on our show. We're very lighthearted. We like to have a good time. And then obviously Fridays, if you are new to our show, we do a new release and that goes head to head with a previous week's winner. So try to keep it fresh with like a rolling take on it. And then next week we're going to have our Christmas episode, and I think the way we're going to format that one is we're going to have uh, anyone that was a Santa Claus in a horror movie. They're going head to head, and we're going to figure out which is the most scary and deadly, and who you wouldn't want coming down your chimney.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So where can people find you? I know Spotify. Are you guys anywhere else or just on Spotify for now?
We're pretty much everywhere except Apple. Like
Okay.
that is a continuing battle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's hopefully
It's
we
been a
have that.
process.
Yeah, hopefully we have that figured out sooner than later. But yeah, on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, Podbean, all of our links are there. Where we have social media channels, where the Roasted Snow Horror Show, pretty much you can find that anywhere. We're the only one that we know of. So
Yeah, I
um,
think it's great. You guys are so entertaining to listen to. So I love it. I think a lot of my listeners will also love it because we're all messed up in some way or another. So
right.
We have our full video episodes on YouTube as well. We like to cut in some video clips and different things in there, so a little more
awesome.
content on the YouTube platform.
So if you're not
Awesome.
scared off by our faces, that's a way to go as well. But I mean, if you haven't heard us before, we're, it's unscripted. We just go off on talks. We have a basic structure that we try and stick to, and then that gets thrown out the window about 5 minutes in. Um, we love to hear from you. We have our email address. It's roastedsnowhorror@gmail.com. And yeah, we work in these clips. We joke around. We try and just make the conversation so that anyone and everyone can be involved. Like we touched on earlier, even if you don't like horror movies, we think there's a place for you here. And obviously, our listeners, if you're listening, check out Morbid Outdoors, because if you don't want to sleep, this is the one that you need to go to, because it's so real, and at least his delivery is so good.
Fantastic.
It's such an entertaining podcast, and especially if you're going for a drive, man, it just time just flies. I got to tell you, it's my daughter goes to school about 45 minutes from where I'm at round trip, so just throw on a couple of years and boom, there we
Oh,
go.
thanks so much. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. And I hopefully we can do this again. This was really fun.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. Thanks for having
This is a
us.
blast. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to Morbid Outdoors. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, make sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform. It's free, easy, and it helps us out immensely. When you subscribe, you get updates on our latest episodes, and it also boosts our visibility, making it easier for other curious souls to find us. Another great way to support Morbid Outdoors is by leaving us a review. Whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen, a quick review helps us know what you love about the show. You can also join us on Patreon for early and ad free content. Find us on Instagram and Facebook at Morbid Outdoors Podcast. You can email us case suggestions and your campfire stories at morbidoutdoorspodcast@gmail.com. Thanks so much for the support, and I'll see you next time.